In Sierra Leone, the country is getting ready and preparing to receive the presidential results, which might be given this weekend or latest on Monday next week. Thousands of people, hundreds of people are expecting the results, which have to be given in that part of the continent. We should take note that 16 candidates were vying for this position and went in to go for the top position in Sierra Leone. And we're expecting the people to throw their support behind them. So for now, the Electoral Commission has said that nobody has got the majority because the constitution of the country says you must have 55% in order for a candidate to take over the vying position of the president. But so far, the Electoral Commission says from what they have counted, none of the candidates have moved up to at least 55%. So there might be a recount or a redo of the elections between maybe the two main people who will be at the top position. They are going to still redo the elections between the two of them. So we're going to see that in the next coming days. This is what is happening today in Sierra Leone. Over to Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga have decided to talk for peace. A reconciliation meeting took place this morning in Kenya, in the capital, Nairobi. So we're going to be talking about what is happening and the fact that Mr. Raila Odinga accepted the invitation of the president to talk peace and reconciliation and to see how the country can move forward. And most importantly, Mr. Raila Odinga accepted the invitation and he met him at the presidency today. What is your take on this? This is what we are talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to Views on the Continent on your Pan-African channel, Afrique Media. So, as you well know, this program is meant for you, the televiewers, to call us and give us your views on the topics we give each day. So today I have two main topics at the limelight that we're going to discuss for this edition. First of all, we're going to talk about the presidential elections, which have already taken place in Sierra Leone, and so the people are expecting the results. The elections took place on Wednesday, the 7th of March 2018. So people in the country are expecting the results. This year, 2018, was the first of its kind in that country, as more than 3.1 million people registered to vote for the elections. Before the country, they did not used to have even 1 million people who registered to vote, but this year they hit the record with more than 3 million people who registered to vote for the elections which took place in their country on Wednesday. So now the Electoral Commission says they are counting, they are doing the last minute touches, and we might expect the results this weekend. So far, the constitution of Sierra Leone says that a candidate must have at least 55% of the vote in order to win the elections. But so far, the Electoral Commission says from what they have counted, none of the candidates have up to 55%. So there might be a redo of the elections between the two top persons that will have probably the highest, and they are going to redo the elections between the two of them to see which candidate will have the highest number of voters, and that will be the president of Sierra Leone. We should also take note that what was also pending this year was that the president, Ernest Bai Koroma, who has had his 2 mandates, decided to step down after his 2 mandates came to an end, as the constitution says. So he actually respected the constitution and decided to step down. But what is pending in this situation is that his party, the SLPP, he decided to handpick a member, that is the foreign minister of the country, to replace him. He did not allow the members of the party to vote whoever they want to take over that position and to go in for voting. But the president, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, decided to handpick somebody to replace him during this election. Some people have criticized him for that. Others say it is better that he handpicked somebody. If the people in the country want to vote him, they are going to vote for him. If the people don't want to vote for him, they are going to vote for somebody either in the SLPP party or the APC party, which is the ruling party of Sierra Leone. What is your take on this fact that he handpicked somebody to represent him or replace him as he is stepping down from the high post in the country? Secondly, another good news for the people of Kenya today. We're going to talk about the reconciliation meeting which took place this morning, today, Friday, the 9th of March 2018, I beg your pardon, in Kenya. The President Uhuru Kenyatta invited Mr. Raila Odinga over for peace and reconciliation talks, and the two finally met this morning at the headquarters in Nairobi in the presidency, where the two spoke about peace and how the country could move forward and they should stop fighting. And finally, Mr. Raila Odinga should recognize that President Uhuru Kenyatta won the elections and is the president of Kenya, and there can be only one president, not two presidents in a country. So this meeting took place this morning, and most people were amazed at the president's move, despite all what Mr. Raila Odinga has done in the country, which has hurt a lot of people, particularly those on the presidential side. But Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta decided to still call him on board. And one other thing is that Mr. Raila Odinga respected the call of the president to come and discuss peace. So that is what is taking place in Kenya. What is your take on this move by the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the fact that Raila Odinga respected the call? Because this is not the first time that he has been called, but this time around he accepted to come and sit down and talk for peace. Call us and give us your views. This is what we are talking about today. Let's start off this edition by watching this first video of how elections were being prepared in Sierra Leone. We'll be right back after that.
Sierra Leone's Wednesday general election has drawn mixed reactions from the business community. Some are optimistic that a new system that will be voted in by the majority will address some developmental issues. Until 2014, the government had relied on external assistance to support its budget and is gradually becoming more independent. A few others feel nothing can be implemented by the government after the election. Citizens, on the other hand, are feeling the pinch of the harsh economic due to rising food prices. Business before the election, prices were very low, but now, because of the election, things have gone up. Even the prices of pepper has gone up, onion too. Right now, things are very hard for people without money.
Very, very hard for we will not get money better.
In recent years, economic growth has been driven by mining, particularly by iron ore, the country's principal export, and also diamonds and rutile. The West African economy is vulnerable to fluctuations in international markets, but this has not reflected in the lives of Sierra Leoneans. Business is not running well in this election. There's no money. People are not buying. We put our foodstuffs and they get rotten because all the buyers are complaining, maybe after the elections. Business is slow. People are not buying so often. But we are coping. However, we hope business will come back to normal state after the election. The ruling All People's Congress has made several efforts to develop critical sectors of the country, which include roads and basic infrastructures. There are two major projects: construction of a new airport and a toll road project linking Freetown to other provinces, has widely been criticized by the opposition Sierra Leone People's Party.
That was the video telling us how the elections were being prepared in the country, what affected the business people on the ground during this period. So let's go over to Kenya. Let's just watch this image between the President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga. How they were shaking hands in front of the presidency after he invited him this morning for peace talks in that part of the continent. We'll be right back after these images.
Oh, yeah, put a cable.
Okay, those were the images I have to propose for you today. The numbers are on the screen. Call us and give us your views. What do you think about this gesture by the President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, inviting Mr. Raila Odinga after everything which has happened in Kenya? We know from the beginning, after the elections, Mr. Raila Odinga refused to back out and accept that Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta won. He even went up to the extent of swearing in as a president in the country. Meanwhile, the country cannot have two presidents, and the presidency and the government promised that all those who were involved in the swearing in are going to go down for what they did. Even the judge who swore him in has already been deported to Canada, where they say he was coming from, and some other people are actually being locked up in jail. Some people say Mr. Raila Odinga accepted the invitation of President Uhuru Kenyatta because they were giving him a second chance, and he knew if he did not take this chance, all those around him are falling down and he might just go down. But some other people say it's a political maturity, and so peace should reign. What do you think about this gesture by the president inviting him despite everything that happened, and also Mr. Raila Odinga accepting to turn up for the invitation? And also talk about the presidential elections in Sierra Leone and how things are going through, and particularly the fact that President Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma handpicked somebody to replace him during the elections. What do you have to say about that? We're waiting for your call. We don't have very much time to be on the program. You know that this program is 1 hour, so we have not less than 45 minutes to be together. Call us and give your view. We have Mr. Damaja on the line from Libya. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Afternoon, everyone. Yeah, Brother Odinga and America are here right now. That is good, no? So,
yeah.
Okay, it's good, you know? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Damaja. He called to say it is good. It is good when after fighting, finally reconciliation should take place, and definitely peace should reign and the country should move forward. So your own contribution is that it is a good gesture. Thank you very much for giving us your opinion. The numbers are on the screen. We're waiting for your call. Ladies and gentlemen, call us and give us your views on this latest happening, either about the presidential elections, which the results are being awaited in Sierra Leone, or talk about what is happening in Kenya. We're waiting for your call. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My nice journalist, and good afternoon to all the listeners of African Media.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think the Sierra Leone, I think that's an English country. I don't get it very well, sure. So I'm not doubting what they are doing. They are following the constitution because they have a nice constitution.
Yes.
So I like that. Everything that they are doing goes inside the constitution. That is how the country is supposed to be. So I like the way they are doing. I'm just praying God that everything should match peacefully, and the result comes out peacefully. About
Kenya.
India, I hope last time I said it here. Many people say that they should throw Udika to jail. Udika is a clan. Udika is a field. No. I told this that look at the population that Udika has.
It's behind him. Yes.
Yes, behind him. That's what I said last time I called. Madam, if you look carefully, you will see that there is no way that Udika has the population and the Kenyatta is the president. The way to come together to fix Kenya, to make Kenya a country of theirs. The president, his father was Jomo Kenyatta, big man. I was doubting that where is this boy coming from? Is that Jomo Kenyatta's son? Is the son of Jomo Kenyatta. He invited the opposition man. They would talk. That is how they would dialogue. That's how Africa, that's how it's supposed to be. They would dialogue. Because if the dialogue, the people would die in seconds. Oh, I'm very happy. I saw them shaking hands. I said, oh, all is great. Africa won this time. I'm sorry. Madam, I hope you enjoy your women. They get to them very well.
Yeah.
And I'm called Mula Kokila. Thank you for this afternoon and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mola Kokila, for calling and participating on the program. Thank you for always being there for us. So his view is clear. He's happy about what is happening in Kenya, and he's congratulating what is also happening in Sierra Leone, and as the people are aspiring and waiting for their electoral results, which we are expecting that it might come out probably this weekend. Let's see who takes over the top position, because their president, Mr. or Dr. Ernest Bar Koroma, has stepped down. He has followed the constitution. You need to be there for 2 terms, 2 mandates, and his mandate has come to an end, and he's given the place for some other person. So 16 candidates stood for this election. Let's see who wins and takes over. Even though some people are criticizing him that he handpicked somebody, the person who will replace him, instead of the ruling party to vote for who will stand for the position of the president. But some other people think otherwise. And in Kenya, most people, in another edition that we did, some people said he should be thrown, Mr. Raila Odinga should be thrown to jail for what he did, because the country cannot have 2 presidents, as he said that he should be sworn in. But some other people said that the population, when you look at the population that is behind Mr. Raila Odinga, throwing him in jail is not going to be a good idea. That would instead cause more rioting. And some people think with the gesture of Uhuru Kenyatta, despite the anger, despite everything that is happening between them, inviting him over to the presidency to talk on peace and reconciliation, it's political maturity. What is your own take on this? We're waiting for your call. Let's have... there's another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program. Hello. Good afternoon. We're listening to you.
Good afternoon to your crew on board, and special good afternoon to the viewers and lovers of Freak Media.
Thank you.
Emanuela Sierra Leone today goes to the polls in a historic event. One of the unusual open elections in the country. I call it an unusual open because it has experienced a significant increase both in the political parties and the number of voters. Yeah, and I must say that it was a good move from the president to step down after his term got finished, but pinpointing or picking up his foreign minister, that is Samura Karama, to lead the party, I think that came from an influential point of view, because if you look at the APC in the country carefully, you will discover that they are being led by Chinese. They are being led by China, because as a foreign minister, Karama has been one of the strong advocates for the Chinese to come into the country, and he's the main brain behind the Chinese investment in the country. I must say that Chinese has been doing a lot of good work in the country, but Emanuela, when it comes to politics, all these foreign countries, they should stay out of it. Yeah, that is what I would say, because from all indications, Koroma was influenced by China to pick up the foreign minister as the candidate for the APC and not allowing the party to vote, which is not correct. And also to say, Manuela, that the main opposition, that is the Sierra Leone People's Party, has elected the former military head of state, that is Julius Maada. Don't forget that in 1996, he ruled the country for 3 months after overthrowing his boss at that time. So I'm just saying that there's a serious task to do in the elections this year, because there are serious contestants coming up. Also, with the coming of the National Grand Coalition of the former executive of UN, that is Kande Yomkela. That is Kande Yomkela. He also has a huge crowd behind him. For me, Manuela, I personally think that this election will go to a second round, because these particular 3 candidates, all of them, they stand a chance to take the prestigious job of in the Sierra Leone national state. So all I would say is that I just pray that it goes on peacefully. Yeah, it should be very peaceful, so that what happened in 1999 or so, the civil war that ended in 2002, it should not repeat itself. Because from what I'm saying, it will be a huge task out there for any person to emerge as the leader. Thank you.
Very much, Diodone, calling us from Dubai. Thank you for always being there, participating on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers are still on the screen. We're waiting for your calls. Call us and give us your views. Either talk about what's happening in Sierra Leone and the results which are being awaited, or you talk about the latest information in Kenya about President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga finally meeting together to talk for peace and a way forward in that part of the continent. While waiting for your call, let's watch this other video, which is from Sierra Leone, and it's done by the president, Dr. Ernest Bar Koroma. A day before the election, he came out to make his last speech, talking about what he has done in preparation for the election and how he has prepared everything in order for him to step down and some other person take over if he wins the election. So let's watch this first part of Dr. Ernest Bar Koroma's speech. We'll be right back after that. Can we have this video about Dr. Ernest Bar Koroma talking about his latest preparations vis-a-vis the elections and how he's ready to step down and hand over the top position? We'll be right back after this video.
Tomorrow, 7th March 2018, we are once again going to the polls to vote for our compatriots whom we believe are capable to continue with the onerous task of building our nation. As we go to the polls, I entreat all Sierra Leoneans to be mindful of our collective responsibility to consolidate and build on the gains we have made together over the years. Since 1996, when we embarked on this democratic journey, we have worked so hard, made enormous strides, and earned so much respect that there can be no turning back. The peace of this country is indeed in our hands, and it is only possible to keep the peace when we put Sierra Leone above all else. My call to all political parties, leaders, and the electorate at large is to responsibly perform your civic right to vote in an atmosphere of peace and non-violence, firmly resolving to take Sierra Leone to the next level where we will be counted amongst the most democratic countries in our continent. This places a special obligation on our political leaders to play by the rules, to set the right and the brightest examples, and to avoid any actions, utterances, or inactions that will threaten our hard-earned peace. Elections are not and should not be a do-or-die affair. Elections will come and go, but Sierra Leone will remain. Ultimately, the objective of coming forward for elective position is to serve in order to improve the lives of our compatriots, not to put them in harm's way. Every one of us must therefore be guided by the fact that there is only one Sierra Leone, and that in the end, only one person will be president at any given time. At the end of this democratic process, our new president, regardless of his political affiliation, is expected to dispassionately pursue development of the nation from Freetown to Boedu and from Senkunia to Sulema, thus cementing national unity for a brighter and more prosperous Sierra Leone. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, I have said repeatedly that the March 7th elections will be free, fair, and credible.
Okay, that was the first part of Dr. Ernest Bar Koroma's speech. That is the president of Sierra Leone. So he's going to be the president till after the inauguration of the next person who is going to win these elections that we are awaiting the results. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Manuela. Good afternoon, African Media. Good afternoon to the televiewers. Manuela, I want to say Sierra Leone today is going down to history just for the fact that the president of Sierra Leone has stepped down after his 2 mandates. So it's a nice thing for him stepping down, but the issue is him appointing or picking someone from his party to stand as at the race shows he wants to still have something to do at the presidency, meaning that he will be controlling the person if at all he wins the election. So doing the right decision by stepping down is a very good thing. But on the other hand, he has failed because those people won't give that confidence to him that wins the elections, to the person that wins the election. So I want to say he should have rather done nothing as such and to sit quietly and watch on how the elections go. If somebody was interested, somebody from the party was interested that he wants to run in as the president, he shouldn't have put his mouth to that. So right now it might bring a conflict in that particular election because the presidency have an indirect attachment to the presidency. So I want to say he should think twice, or he has already done it, but it's not a good thing for him to step down then and still have interest in presidency. Thank you very much, China.
Thank you very much for calling and participating on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers are still on the screen. We have at least 25 minutes to be together. So call us and give us your views. As the last caller was talking about what is happening in Sierra Leone, many people congratulated Dr. Ernest Bar Koroma for stepping down after his 2 mandates and not trying to change the constitution as it is seen in most parts of Central Africa. But he has been widely criticized for handpicking somebody to replace him in the party, which is the foreign minister Samora Kamara, to replace him and go into vote. But still, other people are still congratulating him. And let's see what happens in the next coming days. If somebody from the APC, which is the ruling party, will win, or somebody from the main opposition party, the SLPP, will win, or another party, because there are 16 candidates this year, 2018, who went in for this top position. Talking about what is happening in Kenya, and that is making news, particularly today, the 9th, is the reconciliation meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta, I beg your pardon, and Mr. Raila Odinga. The president invited him to the presidency this morning for a peace and reconciliation talk, and he honored this invitation and came, and the two sat down and spoke about activities to do that they can foster the country forward, and all the conflict in the country should stop. And they finally ended this meeting after a couple of minutes. Most people have congratulated the gesture by the president and also Mr. Raila Odinga for honoring this invitation, because it's not the first time that he has been invited. He refused to come And this happened immediately after his swearing in. We know that his swearing in took place some 3 weeks ago, and that caused serious conflict in the country. Even 3 media houses were shut down because they covered this event. Meanwhile, the government warned them not to cover this event. Even sponsors in the countries, companies, were asked not to sponsor this event, and some companies are still going down because they disrespected what the government said, and they went ahead and sponsored the event of the swearing in of Mr. Raila Odinga. What do you think about this gesture by the president? We're waiting for your call. Let's have this other video from Kenya about the tour and what is happening in that part of the continent. We'll be right back after this video.
Naam, kama unavyoona ni kwamba Rais Uhuru Kenyatta tayari kishaingia tayari kuhutubia wananchi, lakini kama kumbuka nilivyokuambia hapo awali ni kwamba kinara wa NASA Raila Odinga ataweza kuzungumza wa kwanza, halafu akifuatiwa naye Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. Ni kikao cha kipekee mtazamaji tuweze.
Okay, that video is in Swahili. For those in Tanzania and all the people in West Africa, most of them speak Swahili, so they're going to understand it. It's going to be definitely online, and so you can get details from it. Let's have another caller. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program. Hello, good afternoon. We're listening to you.
Good afternoon, Emanuela. Good afternoon, Media. Good afternoon, Africa. This is Fred from Douala. In fact, the action of Dr. Ernest Koroma is not new, neither is it strange. Africa leaders always want to preserve continuity and put in place people who will not impeach or expose their wrongs.
Yeah.
So we have seen that in many instances, and we expected that. Well, I know that is a canker worm in Africa leadership, and so to me, only God can help us out of the situation. Well, the people are voting. Who are they voting? Because definitely a mechanism has been put in place for his foreign minister he handpicked to win and continue as the president of Sierra Leone. So, well, let us just hope that God will sort us out this cankerworm in Africa leadership. Thank you. Good afternoon, Africa, and God bless Africa.
Thank you very much for giving us your own opinion on this particular subject. We are still waiting for your calls. We are on the program. This is Views on the Continent, if you're just joining us, and we are talking about what is happening in Kenya and also what is happening in Sierra Leone about the presidential elections, which we are still awaiting the results. And in Kenya, the reconciliation meeting, which took place between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga this morning. What is your view on this? We have another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program. They're indicating to me that we lost that caller. Just call us back. Insist. Sometimes the network is not the best, but just insist. And Frankie is at the call center. He's going to put your call through. So we are still waiting for your call. They say he's back on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Okay.
Go ahead. We're listening to you. It's like we still lost the caller again, but just insist or move away from where you are, because it seems your background is noisy. Where you are, there's noise behind you. Can you just move away from where you're standing and try to call us back? We have another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Emanuela. Good afternoon to all the lovers and the viewers of Africa Media.
Good afternoon.
Emanuela, it is a good thing dictatorship is gradually dying down in almost all the West African countries, and we pray it spread all over Africa. After spending almost 10 years in the presidency and decided to step down.
Yes.
As per the constitution of the country, I want to at least appreciate President Ernest Korama for having like taking this bold step, and talking about him handpicking his foreign minister to represent his party at the elections. I don't really see any problem with this at all, because you can only influence somebody that is under you, but when power is being given to that person, you might not influence him to a certain level. So I don't really see, should in case if he wins, the foreign minister wins the election, I don't really see President Ernest influencing him to a certain level. My main concern and problem here is the Chinese influencing this party, the APC party, because of their contract they have engaged and signed with this particular party, and might not want to lose the contract, thereby doing all possible means to maintain this particular party in power, not respecting the people's choice, because the citizens might have their own particular person, or that they have decided that we are going in for this person. Then why the Western world are influencing other persons to rule the country because of their personal interest? That is where my main concern is. The best thing is for the Electoral Commission to just shun down any foreign influence and respect the people's choice as the president, regardless of who wins, but it should be the people's choice and it should be respected. That is only where the country can have some degree of peace. Good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Terence, for calling and giving us your own opinion on this particular topic. So I have Marcel from Cameroon. He sent a message. He says, one thing I like about Mr. Raila Odinga is that he is an opposition leader who has made himself known and made noise and made the president to tell him that even an opposition leader has a say in the country. Thank you very much, Marcel, for your message. There's another message from TK from Germany. Mr. TK says, Kenyatta gave him a chance to leave the stage with honor by inviting him, and he took the chance. Otherwise, he would have left the country through the back door. Signs of political maturity, Kenya first. Thank you very much, TK, for giving us this message and your own opinion on this particular topic. There's a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program. Hello, we are listening to you. Frankie is telling me we lost that caller. Just insist. The numbers are still on the screen. Insist, and your call will be put through. We are still talking about what is happening in Kenya and between Mr. Raila Odinga and the President Uhuru Kenyatta. The meeting they had this morning, today the 9th of March 2018, is a serious meeting to mark a way forward for the people of Kenya. There's a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Yes.
Hello, we are listening to you.
Yeah, we called you from DRC.
Okay, thank you.
And we say that, do you know about the Congo situation? People are dying in our province. People are dying. Till now, they are still dying in DRC. So what do you say about DRC? Hello?
Hello, yeah, we're listening to you. Tell us what's happening on the ground. You are on the field. Tell us what's happening there in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Hello?
In the Republic of Congo, precisely in Ituri, people are dying. People are dying. People are dying, really.
Who is killing who? Are the rebels?
5,000. In Congo, DRC, Republic of Congo, people are dying, precisely in Ituri. People are dying.
Yes.
What do you say? What do you see?
Okay, I understand you. Who is killing who in the Democratic Republic of Congo? You are saying people are dying in Baturi. Who is killing who? That is what I want to know.
Yes, we don't know. It's a rebel group. We don't know them really. People with knives and axes are cutting people, and people are many people from Italy. They are now in Uganda refugees. So we don't know what you say about what can you see, what can you give as a solution in this problem.
Okay, thank you very much for calling. We're going to take another day and organize a program meant for the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then we'll see what is happening there. So far, we've been following what the United Nations is saying about the country, and also what the national television is telling us of what is happening on the ground. We know that there are fightings in some of the villages and little towns in that part, which the crisis is still going on since the ex-president Kabila to step down after his mandate ended in 2016, and he said that he's still preparing for some other person to take over, or he is to stand. So we're still going to follow on what is happening in the DRC. Thank you very much for calling us from Congo and telling us what is happening in your town in Bituri. Probably next week, Tuesday, we'll talk on something in the DRC. Thank you. There's another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to the program.
Hello?
Hello, we are listening to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, sister.
Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. My main problem, the reason why I want to participate for this program is, you see, the Kenyatta, the father, when he was in power, he vowed that Odinga, the father, will never be president in Kenya.
Yeah.
And now the two sons are still fighting the same fight again.
Yeah.
So for my good reason, I believe they should just evacuate the two of them for another person. Two other candidates should come and compete for the same race. Because, you see, if these two people are still there, innocent souls, they will be killing left and right. They will be killing people because of these two people for their greedy, selfish interest. So that's the reason why the two of them should leave the power, for the neutral people to come in. Then concerning Congo Republic, I don't know the reason why Kabila is keeping proposing that he doesn't want to hold the election. He keeps postponing, and people are dying. He killed the father to be in power, and today, hello? Hello?
Yes, we are listening to you.
I said Kabila is in power because he killed the father. Are you getting me?
Yes, we're getting you.
Yeah, I mean in LDC, Kabila killed the father. He's in power for more than how many years? 17 years. There's problem. It's very simple. If you have ruled for 17 years and the people doesn't like you again, what is the problem? That country doesn't belong to one father, to one family. You drop then another person comes up and take the people on. I don't see the reason why Africa will keep suffering for the same problem. One person will ruling the country for 40 years and he wants to stand for another election. I don't know what's really the problem in this Africa place. We should, at least I don't know. Thank you. That's my own contribution for today.
Thank you very much for calling and giving us your opinion on the topic today, and even talking about what is happening in DRC, as our caller from there called and told us what's happening on the ground, particularly in his town, Abaturu. Thank you for your contributions. We're still waiting for your calls. The numbers are still on the screen. We'll look for another day to talk about the Democratic Republic of Congo because the crisis is still going on. The United Nations is calling for a peaceful transition, even though the President and the Electoral Commission said they are not ready for that transition because they don't have enough material on the ground. And so the crisis is still on. with also fighting for minerals in that part of the continent is also causing a serious problem, because we know that there are black hands behind trying to buy or steal minerals from that part of the continent, and they have supporters which are making it difficult for things to really move on smoothly in Congo. Talking about what's happening in Sierra Leone and also what's happening in Kenya, that's what we are talking about today for the program. The numbers are still on the screen. We're waiting for your call. Call us and give us your views about these two topics. We have 3 minutes to be together to end the program. So we're probably just going to take one last caller if there's a caller online. If not, then probably we're going to end the program here. But we're talking about what's happening in Kenya and the reconciliation meeting which held this morning between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Mr. Raila Odinga after all the fighting that has been between the Jubilee Party and the NASA Party, and even Mr. Raila Odinga went up to the extent of having himself sworn in after Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta has already been sworn in as the president. A country can never have two presidents, and so finally both of them met today to talk about reconciliation. Talking about what's happening in Sierra Leone too, we spoke about the presidential election which has already taken place. It took place on Wednesday, and now they are counting. They are counting and preparing for the results. So we might have the results before the end of this week. Let's see who is going to take over the top position from Mr. Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma in that part of the continent. Tomorrow for the Pan-African debate at 3 p.m. I'm going to still be with you, and I'll have panelists with me in the studio. We're going to talk about what's happening in Nigeria with the 110 girls that were kidnapped by Boko Haram, and we're still going to talk about the elections in Sierra Leone. We'll see if by tomorrow the results are out. We're going to still analyze it, and probably about what is happening in Kenya. I want to thank all those who called and participated on the program today. Thank you to those who sent in messages. I still have like 10. We don't have much time to read them, and particularly to thank the technicians behind the program, Nathan and Frankie with Prizo behind the camera. See you next week. Have a beautiful weekend. I'll be with you tomorrow at 3 p.m. local time, GMT 2 p.m. Have a wonderful day.